Oh, yeah.
Again, I'm Lee Gonzalez, and many of you know that Armando is fond of teamwork, so he asked me to suit up for duty this morning, and this is indeed a pleasure. Thoughtful management, absolutely, and the other thing that I've known, I'm in Genesee County, Oakland County's northern neighbor, and I used to work for county government a few years ago, and we always looked at Oakland County as a model, cross-boundary collaboration between the private and public sectors.
We do a lot of work up in Genesee, actually, with Bishop Airport.
Absolutely.
We wanted a sort of ad hoc task force, and when we put this together, there were 3 gates, and I had 12 gates, and we like to think we were part of that growth that we brought more traffic to the Bishop. And that Bishop Airport is a jewel.
It really is. And so, why don't we start with when will Oakland County Public Schools have Spanish taught K-12 to equip our children within a global economy? And I think that leads into also maybe global mission.
Yeah. Well, again, the schools don't report directly to me. In fact, they're very, very independent of the county executive. But their building is across the street. I have a good working relationship with the secondary schools. It's Vicki Markovitz. She's the superintendent who really operates and oversees the operation of 28 school districts. It's my belief there is Spanish taught in some of the schools, not universally across all campuses. And that's really left to the superintendent, and they're moving classes around, they're dropping classes and adding classes. But I can probably get you a firm number, but I think probably the majority of schools have Spanish in them. But French is there, Chinese Mandarin's coming into a lot of schools. But I agree, the Hispanic community is a significant part of not only this part of the state, but around the country. And we ought to be able to learn the language and learn the customs and speak the language.
And I appreciate the fact that the buzz, starting from coffee earlier this morning and also in the room here this morning, you could just feel how vibrant it has been. And the old saying, todos juntos somos uno, together we are one. And I think that you know.
I said that this morning.
What do you think of Governor Snyder's plan to bypass the legislature to build a new bridge?
That's a bold move. It's a bold move. When Snyder took office, he did a lot of things right, a couple things I don't necessarily agree with. But one of the things he did wrong, in my opinion, he just picked up the Granholm land that was already laid out, and she had decided to build a bridge to take the permission slip through the legislature. He didn't have to go there. He has the authority over here on his own. He can build a road, he can build a bridge, and he doesn't have to go to the legislature if no taxpayers funds it. And so he, instead of doing that, he said, well, let's finish the Granholm model. Well, he got into the legislature, got smacked down. And so now he's backing out, and I think this Friday he's going to announce that he's going to do it on his own, with the executive authority that he has. Nobody challenges that. He can do it as long as he doesn't expend taxpayers' funds. And apparently, as I understand it, I'm not an expert on the bridge, it's going to be front-end loaded and funded by Canada, and they'll be paid back over the years with toll. That's how it's going to operate. So basically, no taxpayers' funds are being expended. And he says, threatened. The argument, of course, is that the tolls can't support things, and that's yet to be debated in the marketplace. But I personally think, as an executive, if I've got the power, I'm going to wield it.
Along the lines of economic development and the regional economy and the role that your county plays in that, do you see the need and how intense is Oakland's effort to attract foreign investment?
Oh, we do a lot of worldwide travel, and I mean necessarily personally. I've been to a few places, but I started off Mission Alley. They take 2 or 3 trade missions a year around the world. They're going, I think, to Brazil again this year. They're going to China later in the year. My staff will be going to a couple of foreign countries. I think Japan is on the list. We do a lot of international recruiting. We now have 840 foreign firms in Oakland County, creating about 140 to 145,000 jobs, as we can calculate, to these companies. They come with, what's the name of your husband's company?
Wabasto.
Yeah, Wabasto came over here in the 90s with 8 people. 8 people. I think before the implosion of the auto industry, they got up to 1,300. So, when the company comes here with 2 or 3 engineers or 2 or 3 sales force, I love it. So I know it won't be long before they begin to add. And so we find the foreign investment to be a job creator. And we promote also our firms. We we take our firms over to those countries because they want to expand into international markets as well. So it's a two-way street. It's not just import. We like to take our firms with us when we go.
How will the emerging financial crisis in Europe potentially affect both economies?
Oh, that's a tough one. You know, if it causes a banking crisis back here, the economy is impacted in a negative way. If it goes into its own dissolution of the European market that they built, and it'll probably impact financing. We're clearly coming up the last freeze on capital, access to capital. I can see it impacting the banking back here to a certain extent. And certainly those companies that export to Europe are going to be impacted because the economy there will be in an absolute tailspin. It'll impact business. I got a couple of friends who have, in fact, I'm on the board of one company that has plants, facilities in Italy, down to Germany, over to Luxembourg. So we watch it very, very carefully because we know it will impact our business directly. And so yeah, I'm assuming there's a lot of people in the room who have business interests, or know people who have business interests that are also have a European, extension of that business, and so it'll impact those businesses for sure.
I read in the newspaper recently that you had quite an exchange with one of the county officials from Washington County.
No.
And so this question kind of relates to that, and knowing that you're always political. But should Washington County have a county exec?
I think we all understand the system in Michigan up until Oakland County went to a county exec in '94. All counties, all 83 counties, were run by the Board of Commissioners. So you had the legislature performing two roles. The legislature, they pass ordinances, and then you run around the table and execute. You also take the executive branch. Then you have the judicial branch over here. Oakland County in '94 was the first county to go to an executive form. So now we have legislative body that sets the policy, the executive executes, administers, and judicial. And when you have a small county, maybe the board can play both seats. When you get to a county the size of like Macomb just went to it, they're pushing, I think, over 800,000, 650,000. You get to a point where you cannot play both roles. You can't run a county of our size, or Wayne size, or Macomb size. Well, I have committee. That's basically what a county board is. And the problem is nobody's in charge. Everybody says, well, that's your committee, that's your committee. So when you elect an executive, for good or for bad, at least you know who to hold responsible. So it's a matter of size.
This question is written in red ink, so this must be a good one. If you were Bob Vacano, would you have resigned by now? If not, what would you do to keep the county moving forward?
Okay, next question, Lynn.
If you were Bob Vacano,
I probably did the same thing I gave him advice on that. Bob got himself in he stepped into this maelstrom. He can't extricate himself. Every day there's another revelation. I don't know how you stop it once this thing's going, downhill, picking up momentum. We've talked about some of what we talked about during the coffee hour. What's going to take a while to get a handle on some of the challenges, and his fame may have gone beyond his ability to control things. From his perspective, it's probably out of control, and how he regains it. It's going to have to play its way out, I guess. I mean, what he needs is a couple, use the baseball analogy. A home run would be nice, but a couple of strong belters would help. If he can come out with some programs that make sense and help support the taxpayers. The public will be somewhat forgiving, but I just don't see a whole lot of new initiatives that could deflect public attention to something more positive.
You've made several trips to the Far East and Europe. Why not South America, Mexico?
Oh, I've been to Mexico several times. South America, my office went to Brazil, going back, Long Beach Challenge going back, I think, the next few months. Actually, one of my nephews is from Colombia, Alejandro. So, I have no problem going there. Right now, the markets that are probably more accessible and offer a greater, return on investment will probably be some of the European markets where, we actually, what the best market for us was in all the trade missions I've not personally been on, maybe 3 or 4. Israel. We wrote contracts on the spot. Israel is a high-tech nation. They want to get to our market. Our market is still considered the best market in the world to get into. And so that was a very, very productive trip. We're going back. And I've been to China. And when I got there, I do my homework, as you would expect me to do. And I was getting ready for that trip. I was reading a lot. And come to find out, this is a statistic we made in Asia as well. Maze might be too strong a word. You may find it interesting. There's more English spoken in China than there's English spoken in America. If you think about that, and I did for a long time, obviously they're getting their kids ready for the global challenge, the global marketplace. And they're emerging very quickly. The rest of the world, based on a poll I saw this morning, thinks China is now the most dominant economy in the world. America's fallen from that first down to second place. So China is, I don't want to say a threat, that's not the word I want to use. China and the economy is going to be a challenge, and we've got to meet that challenge. So I found out, I went there, they get their kids prepared for it by teaching English, and so they're going to be able to play in that marketplace with an advantage that we're going to have to match and have to beat.
Why do you support Nancy Cassis for Thad Cotter's 11th?
I'm sorry?
Why do you support Nancy Cassis for Thad Cotter's 11th congressional district seat?
Okay, good question. You all know that the Cotter tragedy, we had a meeting about 25 of us, and we wanted to get somebody out there who could prevail and hold that seat in the Republican College. We interviewed a bunch of people, got down to 5, we were serious, and I'll be frankly honest with you, we brought in, I won't mention the name, the first guy, he said, well, we've only got 3 weeks. You're going to have to do 3 or 4 mailings within 3 weeks because absentee ballots are going out. That's what you want to get on the absentee ballot. And so how much money you got in the bank? None. How much can you raise? Well, I'll have to form a committee. Have a couple fundraisers in the clock's ticking. Second one came in. How much money you got? None. How much can you raise? Well, I can probably raise a couple $100,000, but I'm going to have a couple fundraisers. Third one comes in. So how much money can you raise? It really comes down to money. Well, first of all, I got to move into the district. The next candidate, Nancy came in, and so how much money can you raise? I'll put in 250 today. Money talks. Money in one walks, and so so she's prepared to hit the ground running. She represented that district when she was in the Senate, so she knows the district. She's well financed. She can get a message out quicker. And in times when absentee ballots go out, I just signed my application yesterday. So the process is moving. We're going to get a candidate in a position to win the right. You got to get out there now.
She has been excellent on public policy, as I recall. How can Hispanic-owned businesses, this is the last question, how can Hispanic-owned businesses tap into Oakland County's resources?
Well, I met a couple of guys today that, frankly, I hadn't met before, so I'm delighted to be here. And this was I think, an information technology company. I have a couple of groups. I have a business roundtable. And I started that way back in my 1992 campaign for county exec. That's when I first ran. And I said, I don't have all the answers. I know I don't. So I'm willing to, I want to set up an outside group of advisors, a business roundtable, and ask the private sector, what is it you expect from Oakland County? And I can't give you more peace and all that. But what can you realistically ask the county to do to improve the business climate, the business environment, so you all can succeed in business? And so we had 125 businessmen and women, some from education, most of them for business. Now that's growing to about 225 with a huge waiting list. And the reason people want to get on the roundtable is because we've implemented, at the end of the year, they give me a report. We've implemented 82% of their suggestions. So it was within my power to influence and impact. So people want to be on that roundtable. I suggested a couple of business leaders in this group this morning want to participate and really get involved in a very important aspect of how we manage county government. In fact, I see Debbie Gibbard, her husband, Matt is my new deputy in charge of that. We'll make room for a couple of Hispanic leaders so you can see how it works and we can enjoy the benefit of your input as well. Excellent. Okay.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well, Brooks, thank you very much for being with us and giving us an absolutely fabulous remarks and Q&A. Typically we give our keynote speakers a plaque,
Yeah.
You know, but we know that you have an interest in charitable activities, and so we know that the Rainbow Connection is one of your charities.
I started
So,
in television. Yeah.
sure.
Very quickly.
Okay. So we just wanted to make sure that you got a contribution from the Michigan Hispanic Chamber of Commerce to the charity.
Thank you so much. Rainbow Connection is a charity I started back in 1980. My best friend was flying a plane. He, his wife, and his two kids. His two kids were age my two kids, and they crashed in Ontario. Killed the two kids in the back seat. Killed himself. Ron was the pilot, and his wife survived. That was in August of 80. Strike that. It was in May 10th of 80. In August of 80, I put on a golf outing in memory of the kids. We sent $3,000 to the Clarkson schools. And the next year we did the second name, Dobson, St. Ron Dobson, did Dobson Open. We sent the proceeds to the school in memory of the kids after about the fourth or fifth year. Some of the guys and gals in attendance, hey Brooks, I'm from Troy. I'm from Birmingham. Why do I send money to the Clarkson schools? And that was a fair criticism. So we incorporated in '85 as the Rainbow Connection, and focus is not just keeping the memory of the two kids, Tim and Jennifer, alive, but to reach out to other kids who are going to have their life cut short by an illness. So we grant wishes for terminally ill children. Since then, going all the way back to AIDS, what's that, 37 years ago, we have grown now to our charity is about about $1.9 million a year. That's how much. I've got 9 full-time employees. We own our own headquarters up in Rochester on Walton, and it's we've granted so far over 2,200 wishes, and so it's been fun to watch how this thing has grown and services more kids in the driveway, actually in the whole state. Things most kids want to go to Disney World, so we fly not only the child who was sick, but the siblings with that child, because I believe that may be the last time they're going to see that child in a good environment, happy environment. And they want things like television set to their bedroom. They want to go to England. One little boy wanted to sleep in a real castle. So we flew the family to London and slept in a real castle. When he was dying, that little boy went blind first. He said, "Mom, I can still see the fire in the fireplace." So it's really a very charity that I'm delighted to be participating in. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that very much.
Thank you again to Mel Brooks Patterson, to all of you for your sponsorship. Thank you very much. Have a fabulous day.